What's up guys, Qehzy here bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do 3D overlays for your videos, your streams, whatever. We're going to be using Cinema 4D and Photoshop, and we're going to be creating something like this. So first off, we're going to get into Cinema 4D, so I'm just going to go ahead and quit out of this. And if you have a Lightroom, you want to get that set up, just any normal Lightroom. I'm using my personal Lightroom, which I have in my store. If you want to use this, it's like a dollar or two on my store. But we're gonna go ahead and go to MoGraph text or MoText, and we're gonna set that to middle. And you just want to put the name of whoever you're making this for. So I'm just gonna do myself. One thing with the font I'm gonna be using, I'm gonna have the 3 letters in the middle be smaller. So I'm going to make those lowercase and the end letters be capitalized. So let's do that, and let's select a font. Now this is going to take a little bit to load because of all the fonts I have. And I am in Cinema 4D R17 if you guys were curious. I'm not sure if it's the newest Cinema 4D since they seem to pump them out like every 6 months. It's probably every year, but it seems like 6 months. It feels like every time you buy one or you get one, the new one's out. Okay, so the font I'm going to be using is Amaze Doom. So it's one of these, and there's like multiple versions. I'm not sure if it matters. I'm going to go with this one. So this is Amaze Doom Right. You can use whatever one you want. I'm just going to move it down a little bit, and I'm going to put the depth to 100. And go to caps, fillet cap for both, and 1 radius. Alright, that's pretty good. I'm going to delete these materials, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to go ahead and create a new material, and I'm going to double click on that. Sorry, it came up on the other monitor. And the thing I like to do is just right click on the material, go to Object, Soft Shadow. That's my preferred look. And we're just gonna keep everything the same. We're gonna move up the color just a little bit closer to the white. We're gonna go to reflectance, and this may vary depending on the Cinema 4D version you have. So in the newer ones, you want to go here and click Add, and add a reflection legacy. So that creates the actual reflection, and then I believe it'll come up as layer 1, and you can decrease the opacity or the amount it affects, or the amount of reflection, I guess. And I'm just gonna put this down to like 16, 15, somewhere in that range. And we're gonna put that on our MoText. And actually, let's hit C on the MoText, which will make it editable. And we're gonna move this material down to this folder and drag this folder out of these 2 folders, or nulls, whatever. And we're going to go to the 3 middle letters and just drag them down to sort of center them like that. It's pretty cool. And now we're going to Command C, Command V on that, so we duplicate it. And we're going to go right here to the array and get atom array. And we're going to set the sphere radius to 1. And we're going to drag that in there. So now we created an atom array effect, which just outlines all the text if you weren't aware. And now I'm going to go ahead and open up my material pack. So this is also in my store if you want to buy it, or use other materials. Up to you. Doesn't really matter for me. You can buy it if you want. You don't have to. So I'm going to use the blue material, and I'm going to use the crystal material. And click out of that. So for this part, I'm going to have the blue material. So it's just like a nice bluey, glowy outline. And then let's duplicate the text again. And this time I'm going to put the crystal material on it. And we're just going to go in and rotate some of these different ways. So I'm going to take the Q, rotate it down. The E, rotate it down sideways, and you can do whatever you want here. Just vary it depending on whatever you want the look to be like. I always move everything down so it gives it more depth on the bottom. but that's just what I prefer to do. You can do whatever. So something like that. I'm just going to do this real quick, so I'm not going to play with it, but that's good enough. You don't want to do it too much to be too offsetting, unless that's sort of the look you're going for. In my case, I'm not going for that. So this is fine. So this is essentially the text done. It's real simple. One thing I have to do is move the lighting up, because as of now it'll be just a bit too low. So something like that. And if I render this out, get something like that. One thing I want to do is go to the duplicated colored text that we kind of rotated and stuff. Click on the material and set that to seamless, and then projection cubic, just so it doesn't look so stretched at the bottom. And that'll be our text done. So you can go ahead and save that and put it on your desktop, whatever. And I'm just gonna name this text. Actually, I'll name it Qehzy. And save that, and then go ahead and render that out. And then we'll see you in Photoshop. So we're in Photoshop. This is the original file I made. So when you get into Photoshop, you're gonna obviously have to create a new file. So you want to go to File, New, and depending on the video size, if you're making this for yourself, obviously you'll know your video size. If you're making it for someone else, you're gonna have to ask them. Usually it's 1080p now. We're up on that level. But I did this in 720p just so the file wouldn't be as large and I could go through everything without it being slow and stuff, because my computer's not the best. So in my case, I'm doing 1280 by 720. You might have to do, 1920 by 1080. So yeah, and you just click OK, and then I like to drag in just a clip of any gameplay. So I just Googled Black Ops 3, put this in since I don't have I don't have the game, so I can't get a direct screenshot. But I just put it in just to get an idea of what it would look like. So like you'd be watching this player play, and where can I put this so it's not in the way of anything important, like anything on the sides and stuff. And up on the top looks pretty good. So you could just drag a picture in. I'm just going to move this to the bottom for now, use it as a reference as we do this, and I'm going to go ahead and drag in the text. I'm just going to use the original one I rendered out, not the one I just showed you. But yeah, so we're going to drag it in. First thing you want to do is hide everything and click on your background and go over here to the rulers. If you don't have your rulers up, you want to do Command R, and that will make them appear. So you want to click and move this in, or bring this in centrally, and it should click into place at the centermost point. So if you notice, I'll go and then boom, it'll just click in, and that's our center point. So you can show everything again, and I'm gonna right click, rasterize this text, and then press Command T to transform it, and we're gonna bring it to the top and hold Shift and Alt and bring it down, something like that. And let's center this, and boom, maybe up a little more. Command H to hide the ruler that we just put out there, and we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to click Alt and click at the bottom of this layer to make it a clipping mask. And we're going to go to our brush, and we're going to make sure we have white selected up front, and we just want a normal soft brush. And let's zoom in here. I'm going to go ahead and make mine smaller using the bracket keys on the keyboard, and let's just go over this at the bottom, since the bottom's usually the darkest part that doesn't get as much light in the Lightroom in Cinema 4D. And we're just going to set that to overlay. So now that's a little brighter. Command 0 to zoom out fully, and maybe I'll just add a little more in here. There we go, we get the gist. So now I'm going to select below our text and create a new layer. And let's get our guide back up, so Command H again. And let's go over here to the shape. It should be the rectangle tool, and that's what we want. So go to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to click on a color. And I'm going to click a color in here just for the heck of it. It's going to be changed later on, but we'll roll with it for now. We're going to click right in the middle, hold Alt, and drag out. Now this will, depending on what you want on the sidebars, will depend on how long you go. I'm just going to go for like a medium length, like right there. And I'm going to right click on that layer, rasterize it. Command H to hide, and let's see, it's a little too high, we want to bring it down just a bit. There we go. And I'm going to bring the guide back up, and I'm actually going to get the rectangle marquee tool and just delete one half, and we're going to work with the other half for now. So I kind of want to create a little bit of an angle here at the end since our text is angled. So I'm going to Command T, and I'm going to click Command, go to the top corner, click, hold Shift, and bring it in, but it did not work. Let's try this again. There we go. The arrow should turn white. And we're just going to bring that corner and hold Shift, and then let it go, hit Enter. It looks pretty good. And now let's do Command J on that layer to duplicate it. Now let's bring that down, Command J again. Actually, no, you don't need to do that. So just delete that layer. But holding Command, you want to click on the little thumbnail of that layer, and it will select it. Then click on the marquee tool, and this will allow you to use the arrow keys to move this selection. And I'm just going to move it over just a bit, and then press delete, and then Command D to deselect. So now we have this little guy that we can just put on the end here like that, just to give it something interesting at the end. And then we can select both these layers, Command E to merge them. So now this is just one. And if we Command J, Command T, right click, flip horizontally, hit Enter, click and drag it over. There we go. Now we have it on both sides. We can merge these layers with Command E again. And let's call this bar. So that's the main bar. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the layer styles right now. Since I have the layer styles saved, it's actually part of my layer styles pack, which is also in my store if you want to buy it. I feel like I'm promoting a lot of stuff in this, but this is just the stuff I use every day. It's called Style 9 in my styles pack. So it's something like this. You could create it. Basically you get gradient overlay, there's a little bit of a stroke, some inner glow, a little bit of a drop shadow, but the main part is this little pattern. And I'm actually going to decrease the drop shadow length and opacity. Maybe the distance a little more. Alright. So that's the bar. You could create some version of this. You could just use a blank bar really and add very simple layer styles. It all just depends on what you're doing. This is all I use. Maybe if you don't want to buy my layer styles pack, you can go download some free ones and use those. But I kind of like this metallic-y sort of look. So I'm just going to decrease or hide those effects and go below that and create another new layer. And this time let's select a color, but let's make it a bright blue. Something like this. So that's like our complementary colors, or our colors in this are like purple and that like kind of light blue. So this is a darker blue. We want a lighter blue for the back. We could also use the purple, that might look good, but in this example you can see I used the lighter blue. It's almost a green. And we want to go to this shape, custom shape tool, where we used the rectangle tool earlier. Click that. And we're going to select this flag looking thing. You could really select any of these shapes. But these kind of add like a different shape to the bar, and so it's not just a straight bar. And you could like cut things out of the bar and do a bunch of other stuff, but whenever I do that, I always end up messing up the text. So I just like this method. It's easier and it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click a little bit above the bar and go a little bit below the bar. Something like that. Right click, rasterize the layer. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the rectangle marquee tool and just cut off this portion in the corner, because if we add a layer style, the corner will come through and we don't want that. Command D to deselect, and that's Command J to duplicate, Command T, right click, flip horizontally, enter, and drag it over to the other side. There we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and merge those together and call it behind bar. Alright, and I forget what layer style I used for this, but I am pretty sure it was just a simple, just kind of like gradient. Maybe it was something, I forget which one it was, but I picked one of these and just changed the colors of it. Now I found it. It was this one. What is this guy called? Style 18. And I just switched all the colors to be blue. So I did a color overlay, selected the blue we're using, set that to hue, and then I just changed the stroke to be all blue. But in this case I'm just going to do this to keep it simple. Something like that. Not a big deal. Decrease the shadow. So yeah, this is sort of the layer style I did. This is a little more of a greenish blue than that one down there, but that's the idea. Something like that. You get a nice little shape. I think this looks really neat actually. I really like this look behind it. But yeah, let's continue. So the next part would be adding text. So we want to go to the very top and go ahead and get our text tool. And we're going to just go with white first. So you want to obviously figure out what you're putting in your bar. So you can see down here I'm going to do Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, even though I don't have Instagram or Facebook. And I'm just going to make put a caps lock on, and let's do Qehzy, which will be the Twitter. I'm going to set this to 12-point font. I'm using Gotham Bold Regular, by the way. So it's just a clean font. It's usually my default font. Let's duplicate that, bring it over, and we'll do that's Qehzy. There we go. Duplicate both of these, and we'll just drag them over like so. Now let's duplicate the original one, and let's bring it to the top. Let's move it up, and we're gonna make this say Twitter. But we're going to make this slightly smaller. We're going to make it 10-point font. And we're also going to change the color to this like light blue color sort of deal. Maybe a little more towards the white side. There we go. And let's kind of line these up centrally. There we go. Command J. Let's move this over. Center that. And this is YouTube. Duplicate that. I'm using Command J, by the way, to duplicate Instagram. You could also use the logos of like all the social media, but in this case it didn't really work out very well. I didn't like the look, and I think this looks a lot better. So something like that. Kind of blends in with the background, the main links. So I should have done a darker blue, but you guys get the idea. I don't really want to keep going on with that. Yeah, so now let's create a new layer, and let's select that sort of light blue again, this sort of cyanide color, and let's get our normal brush, soft brush, and let's make it, oops, caps lock on. Don't know what I just did, but we're gonna go ahead and click these top, or like every time there's text, we're gonna click on that. And let me figure out how to get this back. All right, so you want to put those all over the text. Okay, sorry, I had a little problem there. We're gonna set that to screen and just decrease the opacity. So there's like a little bit of a glow going on here. And we can also bump that up and put it on the text as well. Kind of gives everything a glowing look. Now we're going to go and finish this off. Actually, this is the second last step. We want to go play with the text, and we're just going to add a gradient overlay, about like a 30 to 40% opacity, black to white. Looks alright. And then we're going to add a little bit of a drop shadow. Again, like 30 opacity. Bump the distance up maybe a little bit. So it's just something like minor like that. It gives it a really good look. And then the final thing we can do is go to the very bottom, create a new layer, and we're going to get some brushes. We're going to keep that blue color, and we're going to get some, we can use whatever brushes we have. Again, I'm using my brush pack, which is in my store. And we're going to get some of these particles. So let me just get this, and I'm just going to do a little, this kind of job. Let me rotate this. Something like that. And if we get the eraser, we can just erase all the stuff we don't want. Okay, something like this. This is essentially the final product. So as you can see, that wasn't too difficult. It's like 20 minutes to do this, which is pretty quick for an overlay. Obviously it might take a little more time if you want to get more detailed with it. Maybe do some more with the bar to get different shapes and different looks. But yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. At 100 likes, I'll put this PSD in the description. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Qehzy. Subscribe to this channel for more tutorials. Add my Snapchat, which is also just Qehzy. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.